Fenway Fest 2025. No worries about the ice sculptures melting today. It's a little chilly. We got snow coming out. Kind of a perfect day to talk about hot stove baseball and to start dreaming about spring training and baseball ahead. Of course, the season opens up here early April at Fenway Park. The Sox open on the road in Texas late March. A lot of things to talk about between now and then. And here to join us to talk about all that, President CEO Sam Kennedy of the Boston Red Sox. Sam, talk a little about the move. This was winter weekend at Foxwoods, then Springfield. Now you got Fenway Fest here, everything happening down at MGM Music Hall and on the ballpark. Why the change?
TC, can I have a shameless plug first for someone who's very important?
Well, you came in with the Dunkin' Donuts mug.
No, far more important. Today, my dad turns 83 years old.
Come on.
I just want to wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Tom Kennedy, the best.
There you go. We got the music queued up right now. Happy birthday, Tom.
We all fell in love with this team because of our mom, our dad, our grandmother, grandfather, and I'm here because of that man. And so, Dad,
and because he had access to cheap tickets.
Yes,
that's how you became a
actually
I know
free.
The story.
Actually free.
See,
he was an Episcopal clergyman, clergy pass, got him for free.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And then he would keep the pass, and I would just come in and gate D and just walk right in. It was amazing.
All right, now you hear us, Big Cheese.
Yeah, no.
Talk about bringing it to Fenway. How'd this come together, and why'd you decide to bring it in?
Well, you know what? It's just we have such a incredible asset here in the ballpark, and so we'll see. We used to have Christmas at Fenway here years ago. We had the winter weekend thing at Foxwoods and then MGM in Springfield. This is a very different event. It's a Fenway Fest really designed to connect young fans with our players through meeting them in person. And we're going to kick off the Netflix a little bit. There's not a full episode, but a couple snippets. I did tell our team, I think we do need a little bit of an advance warning. Some of the content might not be totally PG
not safe
in
for work.
nature, but it's going to be amazing. I think of us as like fans growing up here. Obviously, this guy played, but the access that these guys had is extraordinary. And Red Sox Nation and around the globe are going to see camera angles and content that they've never seen before. We have no control, by the way. We don't know what's coming, which is a little scary.
2002, I couldn't get Merloni to give me an interview. And now there's cameras following around everywhere.
That's how I was a diva. Yeah, what can I tell you? Sam, we talking to Core about like how special this weekend is, right? Because he gets to see his players all in one room. For you guys, front office side of it, ownership side of it, it's a lot of business going on in the offseason. Is this really the first time, you see the players, it's almost like, okay, here we go. Now let's start getting to some baseball?
Yeah, it's a huge credit to Alex and to Brez and to these players because they don't have to do this. They don't have to come into Boston, into Massachusetts on a snowy day in January. But we like to get the team together to start to get a sense of what we have, who we have. It's the first time they're together. Went to the Celtics game last night. Be here today greeting fans. And then tonight they're going to have a bowling event. So it's just a nice way to sort of kick it off, low key, no pressure before we all get down to Fort Myers. So real credit to our baseball leadership for getting these guys to come into to Boston in the offseason. And they know it's important to connect with these fans. Baseball matters here more than anywhere else. And this group of players, they get it. And Alex and Craig get it.
So what I'm curious of, see the players here for the first time. In years past, maybe today, how many guys pull you aside here today and say, hey, what are we doing, Sam? Yeah. Hey, why don't we go here? Why don't we go there? This guy's still there. I just talked to him last weekend. These guys kind of are part of it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that you forget, you don't forget, but you realize as you get to the off season, like hot stove season in New England, in many ways, there's more attention and focus on it even than the regular season because it's like, who are we going to have and who's coming to this roster? And look, we started the season with the pursuit of a big free agent, which didn't work out. We go down to Dallas. If you would have told me that we were going to emerge with one of the best left-handed pitchers in all of baseball, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that deal getting done as we went down there. I didn't see us emerging with him. We did. It's really exciting. We've added two, we think, top of the rotation guys to a group that's got three young guys who gave us 30 starts each, which I think will really help take some of the pressure off of them. We got Lucas Giolito coming back. Pitching was clearly the priority this offseason. We still have work to do, obviously, but we got a lot of guys coming back off injury, and we're excited about a team that's going to win over 90 games and hopefully win that division and get us into the postseason. And we're set now with that group for the foreseeable future. And that was the goal, to get us to this position where we've got a sustainable group that can be competitive year in, year out as we go forward.
Crochet's young, 25 years old. You talked about one of the best left-handed pitchers in the game, one of the best pitchers in the game. And he'll be at the top of your rotation. 2 years left on his contract. Internally, is there a plan to try to get him extended at some point?
Yeah, look, there is a plan for a lot of our guys internally to try and extend. That's something that is really important for great organizations. In our 24 years, there's been really important internal extensions that have led to World Series championships. So that is a goal and a priority with respect to Garrett, but also to other guys in our organization. And something that I think we missed on over the last 5 or 6 years, if I'm being honest. Maybe even going back 8 years when you think about Mookie and Xander and some of these guys that you would have liked to have gotten long-term deals done with. It's not that we didn't try, we just didn't get there. And what we learned from that, because we need to have this core group of young, talented players a part of the Red Sox for the next decade.
You've talked for a little while, and people sort of forget that you have said this over the last few years, that these things are cyclical. That you want to be sustainable, so you've rebuilt the farm system. I just saw that was one poll of executives named you the best farm system in baseball, and that was even after trading away 4 prospects to get Garrett Crochet. But the splash in free agency hasn't happened the way fans want yet. Walker Buehler's a good addition, obviously. As you said, it began with you in the Soto sweepstakes, and doesn't get any bigger than that. That was the biggest contract in history. Has it been frustrating because you've tried and haven't gotten there? Has it been the right guy hasn't been there? And there's still guys out there. We're talking about Bregman a lot today here on this air.
Yeah.
Take us through this offseason, how it's gone compared to what you've hoped, and maybe what you can still do before the end of it.
Well, we've got 2 months to go until opening day. That said, free agency is really, really hard because great organizations play in free agency. You have to play in free agency. You've got to sign guys. It is a blind auction process. And so you don't know, you're not, obviously, given the rules, you're not allowed to talk to other teams. You're not allowed to talk to agents to find out, where deals might be. So we have to be aggressive, but we also have to be disciplined. And when you're disciplined, that's probably the most disappointing thing for fans when you're not able to get deal done with a guy like a Juan Soto or a Max Fried, for example, guys that you're in on and then you don't get there, and when we understand that, we take that criticism. It goes with the territory. What we have to focus on is winning 90+ games, hopefully 95 games, win that division, get into the postseason, have depth around the diamond, have depth in that rotation, have a strong bullpen, so we can get back to where we belong in October. But we're happy with the offseason in terms of where we are so far. We really are in terms of our needs, but we still have got work to do.
We were talking to Cora earlier, talking about veteran leadership and how a lot of young kids come up from the minors and maybe less prepared fundamentally than they ever have been. And without getting into specifics, there are still free agency still out there. Like I said, no specifics, but there is a guy that can play second that's played for Alex Cora for many, many years down in Houston, who's kind of still out there. But how important is it to be engaged in that? I know you're still talking about middle of the order bat. And when you look at it, it seems like there's really only one guy out there that kind of fits the bill. So where does that go offensively to change what this lineup looks? Yeah,
again, without getting into specifics, there are
no one specific.
Yeah, there are players out there that fit the bill, and it's just you've also got to do a good job of building your own organization from within. And you mentioned the number one farm system in all of baseball. Whether we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, again, these things are really hard because projecting where young guys are going to go. To your point, how are they going to react when they get to the big leagues? What's it like to be on this stage? We talk a lot about Pedroia and how he sort of embodies everything you want in a Boston Red Sox. Well, we all remember what it was like when he first came up, right, in the struggle. So that is real. So finding proven guys to come in and perform at Fenway is really, really important. And so that's why we are engaged in free agent conversations. But you just don't know where they're going to take you. So you have to be ready to do it via free agency or via trade or internally, and we'll see where it takes us. So it's really been a great formula, Lou, to have, as you know, when we've been good and successful here. We've had that right young core group of homegrown players with outside members of different organizations coming in either through free agency or trade to sort of push us over the top.
Well, yeah, and
that's where I think we're getting to.
Those are those winning teams, right?
Yeah.
You've had the veterans to go with this great young core, and that's personally what I don't see. Like the veterans to go with this outstanding young core you have. Like to me, it's how valuable is that? How important is it?
I'm going to tell some of
I'm going
to tell some of our veterans you said that, Luke.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like Jerry Durant's one of your best hitters, and I see him looking at the cage and looking around wanting to talk hitting, and he's with Abreu and Rafaela and the young kids Campbell and Costas, and it's like, who can I talk with?
Yeah, look, I think you're underestimating some of the guys we've got in that clubhouse, whether it's Trevor Story or Rafi Devers or some of the veteran guys that have come in. I mean, Walker Buehler, this guy's going to be a force. I mean, he brings it each and every day. So I would push back on that a little bit. I think we've got the best manager in baseball in terms of leadership. So I think I'd give this group a chance and let's see. And if we add to it, great. If we're able to, we will. But if not, if additions come in other ways than sort of the guy you might be alluding to, we'll work it out and we'll get where we need to be in the AL East.
Rafi Devers isn't here today, right? And you talk about him as a guy who is sort of the center of that conversation, but we know it's a different personality. Right, he doesn't want to be the face of a franchise. He doesn't want to be. Maybe he does. Maybe, but from what I've learned talking to him over the years, he just wants to be one of the best hitters in baseball, which he is.
Yep.
He wants to improve at third base defensively, but he doesn't necessarily, want to be the guy who's out there as the face. He's the highest paid guy on the team. He's one of the highest paid guys. Is he the highest paid guy in the history of the organization?
Biggest contract.
Some of that goes with that, right?
Yeah.
So how do you balance that, right? Like not asking a guy to be someone he's not, yet, here's your role on this team, and here's what we need from you. Take us a little through that conversation.
Yeah, Rafi Devers is going to be just fine. He's going to lead us by what he does on the field. This guy's an elite hitter. He played through he's old school too. He played through injuries all last year. We're counting on him. We rely on him. He's a great young man. He's very, very accountable, and he plays hard. He plays hurt. He expects a lot out of the younger players. He expects a lot out of us in the front office. And he wants to, he's won a championship. He wants to be a part of a team that's built to win multiple championships. So we're really excited. We've got Rafi, and he's obviously at the center of everything we're doing.
I want to ask about free agency because I find myself this winter talking a lot about Manny Ramirez. And in 2000, the Red Sox, I've told you this before, Lou, but in 2000, the Red Sox had...
TC, turn the page, man.
No, I got to live in the past. I'm old. That's what you do. But in 2000, the Red Sox had kind of become a place where a lot of free agents weren't going. And Dan Duquette essentially bid against himself, right? Overpaid to land Manny Ramirez. It was a huge contract.
I'm just remembering, I don't think the iPhone was invented.
No.
I got my first one in 98.
I might have had the flip phone.
We're going back to
the flip phone.
to 2000.
Learn from history.
Were you in high school?
I was here working at NESN. Learn from history. So the point being, the Red Sox had to overpay to land Manny Ramirez, and it kind of ushered in an era where the Red Sox once again became a destination for free agents.
Yeah.
And you talked about discipline, right? And that's the difficult thing for any franchise in any sport to balance, right? You want to stay disciplined. You want to stay within the value you set for players or free agencies. But sometimes you got to overpay to land the guy you want. You overpaid, but in the eyes of a lot of people, for Masataka Yoshida because you thought that bat would help this team. Right? There are times you overpay. Where are you now in that, and how do you make those decisions? It's a case by case basis, right? A specific free agent. You would have overpaid if you got Soto. That's a lot of money, right? So. That's a difficult decision for any franchise to make. And I use the Manny experience because it did work out, right? Yeah. He wound up being a guy who ushered in the glory days that we are still living in now.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. I think about it a little bit differently. The concept of overpaying actually doesn't really resonate, right? The market is driven by different factors. And when you have to get a player, you have to pay a certain price. So you didn't overpay. You paid what you needed to pay to get the player. Right? It's like, and so you make decisions as an organization, and you have limits where you're going to go to be disciplined. And in 24 years, we've had great success acquiring certain free agents that have contributed, some that have not. And we've had other instances where we've been disciplined and we've held the line in terms of where we were going to go on a certain free agent, and we didn't get the player. Look, at the end of the day, a baseball roster is going to end up being made of 50-plus human beings. These are people. These are athletes. They have their own stories. These are individuals that are going to contribute to something special. Our job is to go out and win 95 games and win the American League East. We think we can do that this year. We really do. And you have to have contributions from all over the roster. That's the focus. That's the job. It's been a frustrating 2022, 23, 24. Probably no more frustrating than for John Henry and Tom Werner and Mike Gordon and yours truly and Alex Cora. We want to get back where we belong, and that's competitive in the American League East, winning that division, getting into the postseason. And I think where we are today, I think we have the opportunity to do that. Are we done in the offseason? No, we're not.
I wanted to ask you about Craig Breslow, because now it's year 2 in the winter, as far as for him. There's been some changes, and I'm curious, what have you seen from the day you hired him to dealing with him the last couple of days? Like, what changes have you seen from him as far as how he goes about his business? He's
been extraordinary, Lou. Actually had a conversation with a very high-profile agent who you might know the other night about Craig Breslow. We both remarked that we just can't believe he's only been in this job for a little bit over a year and a half, whatever it is. He obviously grew up in New England. He knows what it means to win in Boston. He's been a part of championship teams. I love that he's been in the clubhouse. I love his discipline. I love his toughness. I love his urgency. I love his intellect. He understands how to deal with people. He's got the hardest job in the building. He does. He's trying to balance winning 90-plus games this year, next year, the year after. And so we've given him the hardest job in the building, and he has so far been extraordinary, and it's great to have him back as a part of the Red Sox organization. I think he's going to be one of the elite general managers in the game. I'm also curious, too. It's been a year now since you've brought Theo Epstein back into the building. How would you classify his involvement? Because I think a lot of people, when they brought him in, they said, okay, what is this? Is he an advisor? Yeah. Is he a guy that's writing at Breslow? Is he going to help him in his young career? Like, what's his involvement been in the organization? It's been hugely impactful. He really, someone who's been in that seat, and having someone who's been in that seat, who's built organizations in Boston, in Chicago, consistently won championships everywhere he's gone. We obviously grew up together, literally and literally in baseball as well. But to have him at the end of that phone or end of that Zoom for me, for Mike Gordon, for Tom Werner, for John Henry, for Craig Breslow, for AC, he's been huge. He's not here every day, so he is in kind of a senior advisor capacity. But just to gut check sort of decision making and where we are. Listen, he doesn't agree with certain things. He agrees with other things. He's got strong opinions. He's been an unbelievable mentor and friend to so many of us in the organization, and he's very actively involved in everything that's going on at Fenway Sports Group, sort of next evolution for him. All right. We are not that far away from spring training. Excited to get down there, especially on a day like today. On a day like this, it really makes you appreciate it. All right, we're going to go down and watch the trailer from Netflix. You ready for this? Yeah, let's give the... are you going to be watching it kind of like trepidation? Like, are you... Yes, yeah. Yes. Yeah. No editorial control, don't know what's coming, but excited to see it. All right. It's just like an appearance on NESN. Yeah, right. Where it's going to go. Sam, we always appreciate it. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot. Sam Kennedy with us here as we warm up the hot stove on a day when you need it. Gorgeous day here at Fenway Park in Boston for some baseball. Maybe not. Maybe a snowball fight. It's Fenway Fest 2025. Our coverage continues after this.